Hi everyone. I am doing this video live in one of the small group study rooms upstairs in the library. As promised, I was going to talk about the essay number 2 that I'm about to post as soon as I'm done with this video. What is important about this assignment is in order for you to come up with your own arguments, you need to analyze those of others. In the first essay, it was more narrative and personal experience. And the research that's going to come later in the semester, you're going to develop your own argument with claims and reasons and evidence to support those claims and reasons. But before you can do that, it's important for you to be able to take a text and break it down, looking at its component parts. You'll be looking at 4 different pieces from the Norton mix that I've listed on the assignment sheet, and you're going to break them down into the rhetorical elements. So for instance, let's just say you choose the reading Web of Risks. It's on Norton page 166. What you're going to do is identify the title of the article or the piece that you're analyzing, the author, where it first appeared, and when it was written. Now, if you I'll open up to 166 here, and you'll see at the top of the page, and you should have noticed this already, that there is a biographical sketch of the author, and it will mention there where it was this piece was originally published and most likely when. And then within this introductory paragraph, you're also going to briefly identify the issue that the text you're analyzing is arguing. This does not mean getting into a lengthy discussion or summarization of the issue, simply stating that the issue at hand is X. Now, what you're going to do in your body paragraphs is where the summary comes in. In analysis, you'll identify the central claim of the argument and all the reasons that the author uses to support that argument or that central claim, and any rebuttals that this author uses. If none are given, what would you presume is appropriate in this situation? You'll give an overview of the types of evidence that are used. So instead of saying or getting into detail about what those pieces of evidence are, you're going to say that the author referenced websites, journal articles, and first-hand testimony. And then you're going to explain how they are organized. Are they written in a chronological order? Is there the objections first, followed by the author's claims? Are all of the reasons given in the beginning? So you have to determine what the organization is. Now, you'll be analyzing 3 important things with this assignment: ethos, logos, and pathos. So I've provided you with a handout that outlines what ethos, logos, and pathos entail. Now, ethos is relating to how does the author try to get you to trust her or him. For the sake of this video, I'll refer to the author as female. It appeals to the trustworthiness of the speaker. It goes back to that credibility piece that is mentioned in the RRAA assignments. Acknowledging objections, establishing credentials, common ground with the audience, rebutting potential objections, and using a voice that sounds knowledgeable. Now, logos sounds very similar to the word logic, meaning does the author make sense? Does she use good reasons? And does she support them with credible evidence? How does each reason support the claim? How does the evidence support the reason? So that's looking at the author's examples. Now with pathos, how does the author get you to care about her argument? It appeals to the emotional part of our being and engages the audience using clear language, targeting the core beliefs. How does the author try to engage you? kinds of emotions or values does the author appeal to, and how does the author do it? Now, in this essay, you do not need to define these terms. Your reader will already know what they are. You are simply making general assertions of how the writer attempts to establish each of them, and then back up those assertions with two specific examples from the text, and then explain how those examples support your assertion. Now, if the author doesn't use one of those things, because it is possible that an author will not make an attempt to establish all three of those things, ethos, logos, and pathos. So, for instance, if the author does not appeal to logos, how could the author have done that? And then point out two spots within the text where the author could have made that argument stronger by appealing to logos in that example. And you'll do that for each of logos, ethos, and pathos. And then finally, in your conclusion, you'll identify the strongest and the weakest aspect of the argument. Because remember, these people, these authors that we've included in the Norton mix are fallible. They're human. They are not going to hit the mark on everything every time. Maybe they didn't have many compelling examples, or maybe they were lacking something in either the ethos, logos, or pathos. Maybe their claim was weak or ill-supported. So that's what you'll point out. You'll also be pointing out the strengths of the essay, such as maybe you thought that the language, the pathos part of it was really good and really got your attention, or perhaps the examples were really just spot on and really backed up what the author was saying. And you'll explain why each of those parts was the strongest or the weakest. So some things to keep in mind with this assignment. For each analysis that you're doing, you're not defining any of the rhetorical terms. Your audience will already know them. You will be informing your audience about the author's argument, not judging it. It doesn't matter if you agree or disagree with what the author is saying. You are merely looking at how the author constructed their argument. Remember, you are breaking it down. So this is, in a way, counterintuitive to how you've typically written essays before, either for me or in other situations. Typically, you're forming your own argument and providing examples. Now you're looking at somebody else's argument and you're breaking it down. You built the tower. The tower's already built for you. Now you are deconstructing it and looking at its component parts. How did they introduce the information? What kinds of reasons did they give? Did they back them up? How well did they back them up? Since this is going to be a common source for everybody's using the Norton mix, I have provided a sample or the works cited for you. Remember, you're only choosing 4 of the readings from the Norton mix, but I've provided citations for all the ones on the list. So what you'll do is you'll locate the 4 that you're using, and you'll simply copy and paste that right into the bottom of your document. So I took all the thinking out for you. You're welcome. Now, as far as grading goes, I'm going to make sure that in your introduction you've included the title, the author, publication information, and ID the issue, that discussed the central claims, supporting reasons, and rebuttals, that you've mentioned the types of evidence in the organization. You're going to discuss ethos or the lack thereof, and then provide 2 examples or spots in the text where it could have been included. Same thing for logos, same thing for pathos. And then in your conclusion, I'm looking to see that you've mentioned the strongest and the weakest aspect of the whole argument. That your works cited entry is a carbon copy of what's on the assignment sheet. And this is one of the very few times you'll probably ever have an instructor say it's okay to copy and paste. And that you've taken time to organize the essay based on the outline that I've given you, and that you've taken time to edit and revise, making sure you're checking for things like spelling and grammar, punctuation, that you don't have sentence fragments or run-ons, things like that. And I've got the grade scale there for you, to earn a 100 on this one. the most points you can earn is 68. So somewhere between 66 and 68 points will give you 100 on this assignment. What I will do is this, because you are doing 4 of these assignments, these analyses, what I will do is have you turn each of those in, and there's a spot on Angel for that in the essay number 2 folder. And then what I'll do is I'll review them, and I will do an average of the grades you receive on them. And that will constitute your essay 2 grade. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to use the Ask forums or send me an email, and I will do my gosh darn hardest to get back to you. All right, happy writing.